There's a thin line between heroism and madness.
Here the line fades to nothing at all.
This is a world of capes and lunatics.
And nothing is off limits.
Now's the time on Capes and Lunatics when we dance. We have a very long intro music, but you know, we paid for all that wicked guitar riff. We have to use it. Wild Stallions don't come cheap, folks. Remember that.
You always got to use the guitar riff.
Yeah, man.
And so it starts.
All right.
Party on.
Charlie, I think it's your week, isn't it?
My week? Oh, great. Yeah, now you tell me. When I wanted to talk beforehand about what are we going to discuss, I said, no, let's just do it live. Oh, wait, by the way, Charlie, you're the one in charge now that we're here. Okay. Welcome once again to Capes and Lunatics, dear listeners. I am one of your many hosts, Charlie the Professor Esser, and with me as always is the lovely, the talented, the Floridian.
Oh, okay. Gotta differentiate. Hey guys, it's Lil.
And the Pennsylvanian.
Hey, it's Phil, the other white guy. Hey.
Yes. Yay.
Oh God.
We do what little we can. So let's think of what to talk about this week. Okay. Man, I'm trying to think if there was any real controversies in the world of comics this week. And was this like a drama-free week in comics? Lilith shakes her head in disgust. There's never a drama-free week in comics. Lilith, what was dramatic this week in your opinion?
I'll tell you what was dramatic for me this week is the change in direction of Wonder Woman. Starting with number 26, both the writer and the artist are female. And I actually liked it. I hadn't been liking the Wonder Woman rebirth stuff, and I actually liked this one. And it's not because it was a woman, it's just I didn't really like the direction they were taking in this one. Seems to be a little different. So you're not disappointed that she's now questing after her brother? I mean, back in the day, she had a black twin. So, you know, they try things with Wonder Woman. It doesn't work and it doesn't stay canon. So I'm just here for the ride.
Well, you know, in DC, nothing stays canon for long. But maybe this time is different as all the timelines collide into one giant super timeline. Maybe. Who knows? Because that's what they did with Superman.
I know you had problems with the last run. Did you like this one? I mean, it's only one issue in, but did you like it better than that last run, that Rucka run?
Yeah, I mean, it started off fine, and then they just lost the momentum, and I feel like they're trying something different. So I'm gonna try to stick it out for at least 6 issues again. But I just like this change in tone, and it's like a little more light. It's not as heavy.
Well, I mean, this is their marquee character now. You know, I mean, let's be honest. Right now, this is what they have pinned all of their hopes of the DC line
that's
on.
Not necessarily true because they made this change way back in March, announced it in April before they weren't really promoting it in the way they should.
Yeah, well, entirely possible. But what I'm saying is, I mean, I don't think they're going to pull anything back from them at the moment. I think they're giving them probably they're getting editorial leeway to tell some very interesting stories, and that usually results in good stories.
The lady who writes it, Shay Fontana, I've been a fan of because she is the one currently doing all the DC superhero girl. If you follow me on Facebook, you know how obsessed I am with that. Both the show on YouTube and the actual like books that they make and the toys, everything point. She's like the creative director for the Teenage Wonder Woman, so I thought that was a really good choice to tap her to do it. And then Mirka Adolfo, I'm sorry if I slaughtered it. She did DC Bombshells, so it was a good team, and that's what drew me in, and they didn't disappoint. So I'm gonna try next issue.
Okay. And
well, you want to know some shocking, controversial news, Charlie?
What is shocking?
Lilith just started reading and picking up a Marvel book, and she likes it.
Which one?
Oh, Jean Grey. I went and picked up all 4 issues, and it sucked me because I'm a fan of Namor. Like I really am. Like so, she was on her little adventure with him, and that's what drew. Like I saw that, and that drew me in, and then. So I read past that and I picked up issue 4 and I'm still reading it and I kind of like it. I like the character of Jean Grey. She's just been a mess for like 18 years.
Yeah.
Like just a complete mess. So
well, ever since the Dark Phoenix, I think they always had problems with her. It's hard to come back from that, Yeah.
When I love the original version. Don't you? Do you like the original version, like from the 60s with her first appearances and stuff? She was kind of not fleshed out and it was a little creepy with Xavier, but once you get past that.
Yeah, well, I do think that there's, a point about Jean Grey having to go back to the 60s Jean Grey because, of course, Jean Grey, after Dark Phoenix, you had that massive heel turn, and it's real hard to come back from that. And I think that's one of the problems that we're facing right now with Captain America and his big heel turn. I mean, Hydra Cap is essentially the Dark Phoenix arc without, but we're destroying our own planet, if you will. And that's, I think that's going to be very hard for them to come back from. To the extent, is it official that there is a Captain America book in I
don't think they've announced anything.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. They announced the Falcon book, but they didn't announce any Captain America.
Yeah, so I do wonder if we are going to be getting, even though Sam Wilson is taking the name Falcon back, I wonder, and we know that he's going to be training the new Patriot. Was not too impressed with the Patriot's origin that they gave in one of the Secret Empire tie-in books. Kind of seemed like they just sort of like picked a rando kid and like said, "Here's a suit, go be a superhero," and.
Well, that's the problem I have. I think a lot of people have is, it seems like they just like create a character just to create this new hero, and they kind of like throw him in real quick, and it's like, well, why don't you take time and develop this character so we care about him when he actually puts the suit on eventually? Yeah, and not for nothing, there already was another young African American male Patriot in the Marvel comic book universe who is currently like disappeared between worlds right now. They could have brought back. They could have given him a little something more than just being some guy. Although I guess that first Patriot wasn't more because he didn't have any super soldier serum at first. It wasn't until he got a transfusion from his grandfather that he got super soldiered up. Although I don't think it's actually supposed to work that way, but I guess he had the exact genetic match to make it work. So yay, super soldiers.
It's a generation.
Yes. It's like I said, I'm not too, but hopefully in the new Falcon book, it's going to get fleshed out. I would love to see what's going on with any of the other, characters that were in the Cap book that have been dropped, like, Ian Rogers. Cap's son from Dimension Z, who is technically a Zola. I'd love to find out what what's her name? Is it Midnight Black or something like that? Which was Zola's daughter, who was also kind of a super soldier. I'd love to see what she's doing. She had a relationship with Falcon, and then when they started accusing her of being a spy, she runs off. And of course, I'm still waiting to find out what's going on with Mockingbird, who I predicted was the Hydra mole long ago, and now that is a controversy that surprises me. Isn't much more of a controversy,
Mm-hmm.
Where in the last issue of Secret Empire we saw her dropping the shields, and we realized, oh, she was the mole on the inside that Cap said they had, and. I'm not sure
unless it's like unless it's brainwashing or something, because they do have Dr. Faustus.
Nah, I don't know. I think, well, like I said, we know there was a mole in Hydra in the Avengers, going back to Sam Wilson's official reveal party episode. And I said then, in fact, I'm sure if we can go back to the old Super Connectivity or All New Marvel Roundup from that era, you will hear me say, I believe it is Mockingbird, because I believe the way they drew the leg, I pointed out that the leg was female, that was what we saw, and that she had a knee pad that looked like the kind of pads that Mockingbird was wearing in those issues. And since then, we learned that Mockingbird can fly. She
pull the clip.
Yes, pull it, man. Go back. Look it up, all you nerds who follow our stuff. I predicted this many years ago. And now the real question is she secretly a Skrull? Is she something else? But she was a Hydra mole all the way back then.
What a Skrull? You say?
A Skrull. Well, because that was the real controversy. Was she really a Skrull? Yes. And I mentioned in that episode that during Siege, they were supposed to reveal the true nature of Mockingbird, and then they never did. And it was implied that she had died in battle, and then she showed up just fine. So, yeah, I'm thinking Skrull. I'm thinking Hydra Skrull. I'm thinking something. Yeah. You mock the Skrull cows, but,
No, I love the Skrull cows.
All they wanted was to get away from the Empire, and they didn't care. They said, you know what, I would rather sit in the pasture and be milked, which is its own weirdness, than go back to Skrullos, or whatever they called it at the time, and fight in another war, because these wars were pointless. As we had discussed previously about how aliens... aliens that make war are aliens that make war because that's their only organizing principle in their society. And it's like their lives have no meaning if they're not making war, because they don't really have to make war anymore, because because if they have interstellar drives, they have enough technology and energy to pretty much eliminate want on their worlds. So, so obviously, I'm sure most Skrulls think that their existence as Skrulls is kind of pointless. And I wonder if that isn't true for most Klingons too. They never go into that. I've always made that thing about, like, everyone's always, oh, hooray for the Klingons, they're such noble warriors. But, how is their motivation to always be making war any more noble than Ferengi's motivation to always be making money, even though both those facts no longer have a purpose in this world? There's no real reason for it, because we all have replicators. So it's not like we want for food or water or medicine or anything. We have enough energy to create to make sure that every person on our planet is fed and happy and, and in luxury even. So what is the purpose that we have decided to make our purpose war, or to make our purpose commerce? It's kind of ridiculous. When you get right down to it, it's a pretty ridiculous idea. But even the humans aren't much better, because everyone's looking for purpose. But at least the humans are honest about it, where they say, we don't pursue money anymore because it's basically valueless. But we all pursue whatever our goal, whatever makes us happy. And of course, for some people, that making money makes them happy, and that's great if that's your choice. But if that's not your choice, then you shouldn't have to have society tell you that's what you have to do. Not in a world like Star Trek. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, still has a soundboard. He found the soundboard he likes.
Oh, I noticed. Yes. Well, we need it jazzes up the show, I think. I think we can all agree with that. Okay. Here's one thing. Sorry.
I was gonna say, just wait until Charlie mentions Trump. I
actually had no intention to discuss Trump this week. I don't know where Lilith went. Okay. But one thing I was actually going to bring up, we talked about this a bit on Super Connectivity, but I'd love to get Lilith's thoughts on this, because as we said, CBR recently made a point that everything Charlie says is right, and he is just the best podcaster in the industry. They didn't use those exact words, but you could read between the lines, where they basically point out that Tony Stark is the real villain in Homecoming. And we had discussed this idea about, these heroes going to dark places. And I do think that that's one of the things that we're going to be seeing in Black Panther too. Lilith, did you hear what I was saying, or?
Yes.
Yes. I think that, because like I said, I think that from what we've seen from the teasers, this idea of, I had suggested that, name that, they were going to be making Black Panther kind of the Namor of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, suggesting that he is going to be this guy who is heroic, but who's only heroic when it suits him, because he has greater responsibilities to his people and his kingdom than just what you all might want him to do. And I think what we're looking at here is this idea that if we have Tony in this dark place of desperation at the end of Homecoming, where he doesn't have, he's got like 2 guys on the Avengers right now, and like the third guy that he had just left in Peter. We have Cap, who's on the run with his his quirky quartet, as it were, or quirky trio, because I guess if you count Black Panther, he could be in a quirky quartet too, although we don't know that Black Panther is going to be. And then at the end of Black Panther, where he's going to be at the end of that, we don't know, going into Infinity War. It really creates this idea that, and this is sort of the thing I think that as DC is trying to go towards the light with Wonder Woman, I think Marvel is going to start to go towards the dark, because I think that's the natural progression for the characters. And I think that it's a better story when you go from the light into the darkness and have to deal with how the world isn't all peaches and cream. And I think that was in many ways what the story of Wonder Woman was. Then when you're just coming out of that darkness into the light, I think that becomes too triumphal, perhaps. When we look at what the arc of Wonder Woman is, at the end of Wonder Woman, she's in that Zack Snyder universe. She's gone into the darkness because she's gone through, that naive girl from Thea's Mascara, and is now a bitter, hardened warrior, and that's her arc. And I think that's where Marvel is. They basically they condensed that entire Marvel arc into one film, because Marvel, it was about rising up and then getting knocked down over several films. And I think when we get to Infinity War, we're at that lowest point. And then we're probably going to rise again with characters like Captain Marvel, like Spider-Man, and like whomever they throw in there next, like Doctor Strange, perhaps. But give me your thoughts, because I did remember what the other controversy was this week, and it ties back to stuff that Lilith was talking about earlier. So go. What are your thoughts, Lilith, on the darkening of the Marvel Universe, the lightening of the DC Universe, and how those 2 tracks play?
Well, I think it's only like you were saying, a natural progression for Marvel. It has been the happy, shiny, go lucky thing, and I really think it started with I don't know. Like the darkness for me is more the Doctor Strange thing than Civil War. I'd say like that one was different in and of itself, because he's just this narcissistic psychopath or sociopath or whatever. So to have a whole movie based on him, and that's kind of their version of their take on an anti-hero. But I like it. It needs to happen, and DC definitely needs to lighten up. But I don't think they need to be Wonder Woman, like the start of Wonder Woman, happy-go-lucky. I think that was just enough, and they need to find a balance. Like grimdark and brooding, you can only do for so much. And we did have that Nolan trilogy that was all about that. So it's kind of like, let's just try something different. People have mixed feelings about Man of Steel and all these other things. So let's just find a happy medium. Okay. And Justice looks like it's still going to be kind of dark. So I don't know.
And along these lines, to get into our second controversy, Wonder Woman related, is they have announced that the next Wonder Woman film will be in the 80s. Yes. And that is interesting to me. The choice to go to the 80s. First off, it's great. We're going to see Wonder Woman in shoulder pads. And I think that's what we've all wanted to see this entire time. Just big, gigantic, like linebacker shoulder pads, No, but what I find interesting about going to the 80s, going to a Cold War story, just in the fact that it literally skips over all of the wars that happened between World War I and like Grenada. It's like, I mean, and there was one other place, because there was actually one thing I was thinking. Are they going to send her to Afghanistan?
Ooh, you think they do that?
Well, it's an interesting thing to present it as a Cold War question. But they actually don't necessarily say she's with the Americans. Because let's face it, she's not an American. She is another one of these illegal immigrants taking our jobs, taking our good superhero jobs. Let's be honest. She does not.
Maybe she's down on the American government after what happened to Steve.
Yeah, or I mean,
he's in that in some way, shape, or form. So,
yeah,
could be just be flashbacks or something, or visions or whatever.
I think it's either flashbacks or she just goes to the world of the dead and he's there, or meets his identical cousin Fred.
Trevor.
Fred Trevor. He has two first names, Steve Trevor.
Never trust a man with two first names. That's what my grandma always says.
Yes,
Oh yes.
Anyway, no, but it would be interesting because if we play this out, okay, she's at the end of World War I. At the end of World War I, our allies include the Soviets, who continue to be our allies through World War II. And you could theoretically see this idea of Wonder Woman throughout the wars and the controversies that come, maybe not really be on one side or the other. And maybe when Afghanistan comes, she goes because she feels on numerous levels. Maybe she has issues with, the Mujahideen, that maybe in their extreme religious iconography, it becomes worrisome to her, and you place it after the Iranian Revolution, which again had that extreme religious bent and oppression of women. Then maybe that becomes an issue for her, and then she finds that I'm stuck in these stupid wars of men again. See, I thought
it would have been more interesting for the 70s, kind of that play with like Linda Carter kind of thing too. So the 80s was a surprise.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's what I'm going to say. I think that they didn't want to. I think if you want to break it down, they didn't want to do. They didn't want to do 40s because they had just done World War I. They didn't want to get comparisons to Captain America. Yeah. They probably didn't want to do the 70s expressly because they didn't want it to be compared adversely to Linda Carter, or to have them be pulled too much into fan service, which I think was kind of what one of the big problems that happened on Batman and Robin is this idea that they wanted to invoke that and they kind of invoked it too much and hurt the franchise. And I think they worry with the 60s because they didn't want to do a white jumpsuit, powerless Wonder Woman,
Right.
And also the 60s were just a weird time if you want to revisit them, man. You don't want to, you don't really want to be going, you kind of want Wonder Woman to exist in a much more solidly feminist world, even in the 80s. But, you want this thing where, sure, people will still go, what, a woman superhero? But have them be clearly on the outside of society, not, the dominant voice. So I can see why you'd go with the 80s in there. And of course, if they did 90s, then they have to do, goth grunge Wonder Woman, and nobody wants to see that.
Well, Alanis Morissette, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You don't want Alanis Morissette superhero, Wonder Woman. But I do think it's interesting that it's also going to be in a pre-superheroic world.
Mm.
That it's not going to be in our Justice League universe that we're going to be establishing before that. And it does raise this question, are we going to find out that there were more superheroes around? And will she meet Thomas Wayne?
Everybody does.
I think it'd be cool. Maybe she meets Thomas Wayne, meets Pa Kent, Who knows? Maybe Jonathan Kent is like,
Maybe she helps out on the farm.
I don't know.
Maybe she meets Jay Garrick.
Oh, yeah,
With the Justice Society at some point.
Well, it would be interesting. Well, are they having Jay Garrick in the
Yeah, I don't think they mentioned anything about it.
Yeah, it would be interesting. Honestly, one of the reasons why I'm kind of hoping she goes to Afghanistan is it opens up the possibility that she might meet I Ching. Because they've done really interesting things with I Ching in the new Superman series. Not the least of which is I think, I can't remember the name of the character, but he was the one on Detective Comics #1, the Asian the scary Asian man face.
That wasn't Fu Manchu or something, was it?
It wasn't Fu Manchu, but it was a Fu Manchu pastiche. Mm-hmm. And now they've actually revealed that this is actually sort of like the shadow of I Ching. That this is his evil opposite, because of course, if you have that yin and yang, you have the good and the evil, and they are the same, but also the exact opposites.
Yeah, but if you do I Ching, doesn't that bring up in a lot of people's minds that white jumpsuit period we want to avoid?
Well, I like the white jumpsuit. I mean, as long as she's not powerless, I think
settle down, Lil.
I think as long as she's not powerless, I think having her have having her not wearing the armor is not the worst consequence, It is a silly costume.
You said it, buddy. As long as she's not powerless.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Well,
that's a dirty word.
Leave the man alone. Let him roar.
I know. I'm sorry.
It's life, man. Powerless ended, and you know what? But hey, we got damage control in the MCU now.
Farewell, powerless.
Yes. Those we've lost. It was a good show. That other people didn't recognize it. You know what? The hallmark of mediocrity is popularity. So, if it was unpopular, that is merely the burden it has to carry. Yeah, that's all copyright music there, Phil. Are you sure we can be playing that?
It's not copyright.
He's like, I checked.
Anyway, yeah, but moving right along. But I do think it's interesting where they're going to go in the 80s, and
don't get your hopes up. That's all I'm saying.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Is if she's in America in the 80s, that's just a weird place to be. I know because I was there. We're so worried about 1984 in the 80s, and
it's here.
Yeah, we still don't have Big Brother. Honestly, I mean, like that. We don't have that central authority. We may be being watched, but it's not like Big Brother is like upfront about it. That's the thing. That's what I liked about Big Brother is you knew where he stood. He was a man who wanted to control every aspect of your life, but was at least upfront about it. I don't like this, well, we're sort of influencing things, but letting you think.
Now they're just listening. Now they're just listening in with Alexa.
Yes.
And Siri.
Well, I hope someone's listening to this podcast. That's all I got to say. If the FBI is listening to us, I hope we have fans, Because when the fascist takeover comes, we're gonna want fans. That's all I'm saying.
We do have an X-Files podcast on the Southgate Media Group network, so there's that.
There we go. Is X-Files back, or is it still?
It is coming back eventually.
Yeah, they did those 6. What was it, like 6 episodes? Yeah, and then they're coming back at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's something to look forward to in genre fiction, as well as this new Star Trek Discovery, which people seem to like.
We also have a podcast for that, so
yes, also called Enterprise without the guy from Quantum Leap.
Shatner hates that guy. I'm kidding.
No. I enjoy. What was that? Enterprise. I enjoyed Enterprise. It was okay. You had that old school ship, and that's nice. And this is also an old school ship, but it's like supposed to be like pre-Pike but post Archer is like what I understand, right?
I think it's 10 years before the original series.
Yeah. So so maybe we'll get Pike in it. Ooh, maybe we'll get number 1. I would love to get some details on number 1's character, because there were lots of discussions about her. Was she like a genetically engineered superwoman? Like a Khan experiment.
Well, what I know, they said they're gonna have Sarek, Sarek, Spock's father, in there.
Didn't he die recently?
No, well, they're gonna have what's his face? Is it James Brain? The guy who played Theo Gallivan on Gotham.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah, James Frayne.
So you're just gonna have another. So Jason, it's gonna be another guy playing Sarek. I guess that works. You can have that. Why not?
And didn't they say is it Rainn Wilson's gonna play Harry Mudd?
What?
Oh yes.
I think a while back I heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, I did hear that we are getting Mudd, and we do love Mudd.
It'll be delicious.
Yes. I always thought that I actually had like some fic I wrote many years ago where I wanted to imagine that Harry Mudd was the guy who gave the Ferengis warp technology, that he had sold that to them, and that he's like a hero on Ferenginar, because he was the guy who brought warp technology and sold it to them and sold them better technology so they could go out and make more money and change their world and their society forever.
And every house they have a little framed picture.
Yeah, exactly. They could have, that's why. But because I thought that would be a great reason. But then they went and ruined it, because then they had the Ferengi show up in Enterprise.
Yeah.
Which was like the worst thing about Enterprise. It's like, no, you're not supposed to have all these new villains here. You can't have them meet the Borg on Enterprise. It doesn't make sense.
So Harry Mudd's like the Virgin Mary for the Ferengi.
Yeah, exactly. He was, I had a whole religion for the Ferengi back before people went and came up with their own ideas. I had all sorts of great things for the Ferengi, man. This whole idea of the different types of the different types of currency. You could have liquid currency and real estate, and I forget what it was. There was like there was futures. There were futures and real estate and cash, and then commodities, and like each one, and they basically had this whole idea that their religion did have like this, because I was a teenage kid, I was into the tarot, 20-year-old kid, and but the idea that you'd have these, and they'd have these cards, and that would be like this ceremony for them to help them divine things, and you'd have, each one would have a various nagus of, the nagus of commodities, the nagus of real estate, the nagus of currency, and depending on what you wanted to know about, you would entreat each of these great spiritual naguses, and all these.
Put
it as a blog post. Come on, go find it, Charlie. Put it up as a blog post.
Yeah,
he still has to write up. He still has to write up his Back to the Future one.
Oh yeah, I was that is what I'm working on right now, is the Back to the Future, and how Doc Brown, like the brilliance of Doc Brown, that you actually never even realize how brilliant he was, because he actually went way beyond a time machine, and like the time machine was like just his most whiz-bang invention, but really he builds the future that we see in Back to the Future 2. That all that technology, all that super future stuff, that's all because Doc Brown went back and invented all of it. And there's a reason why you see that he actually invented it before he gets there. Because when he goes back, he realizes, oh, I invented all of this stuff when he goes back the first time. So he just has to make sure he goes back, creates his company, and then he has all these assets in the future, which is why he has that big trunk full of money in the car too, because he has
continuum. Okay.
Yeah, No, but he's not stealing the tech. He actually invented it before he got there. Because that's what I realized is the Mr. Fusion, that's probably a Brown Incorporated product that is now in every person's home that powers every super technology they have because he's actually using a plutonium fusion reactor in the car that he devised, a small contained fusion reactor that is powering his trip to the future and also is creating the wormhole because you create a super dense stable heavy element, and that's what he uses to create the wormhole through which they quantum slide into the past to the future, utilizing the magnetic flux that you create when you create a wormhole to power this ship, because that's what the flux capacitor does, is it takes that magnetic flux that should rip you apart and focuses it so that you quantumly teleport to your other destination.
Can I have one request for that though? Can the title be "Where's My Damn Hoverboard"?
Yeah. Dude, where's my hoverboard?
You know where they are. The hoverboards were dangerous, man.
Bandit.
Yes, the moms banned it. Everyone, the moms. It's always the moms. No.
Now we have hoverboards that don't hover.
I know. It's called a skateboard. Yeah. It's called a Segway, damn it, with no handles.
Yeah. Yes, it's. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, no, so that's the next thing I'm working on is my Doc Brown piece, and then yes, we'll go to the next thing after that. Oh, my wife's calling me. Yeah, I'm gonna go on mute for a minute.
Are you talking about nuclear fusion again?
So, what was your favorite Marvel book this week, though?
Oh, Marvel.
Yeah.
From you.
I don't know. Balanced.
The Spider-Man books were good, but so is Deadpool.
Really? It's good again?
Well, he's working for Hydra Cap, but it seems like maybe his heart really isn't in it. He's kind of doing it to protect his daughter, but they're sending him out to hunt down heroes, but he's coming back with like the the D-list guys. He's not bringing in anybody A-list. Like at the end of this issue, he brings in remember Triathlon 3D Man? Remember on upcoming episode of Wade? Might be the one that just dropped. Remember on Wade's World, he made our list of Avengers who should not be.
Yeah.
That's who Deadpool brings in. I was like, okay, he's not really trying. Okay.
Oh, I guess while Charlie's on the phone, we can talk about the "We Told You So" of the week.
Which one would that be?
The Outlaws number 12.
Oh, that's right. Red Hood and the Outlaws sold out. Me and Lilith, I've been singing the praises of that book since like day one, and now everyone else can find out that me and Lilith were right. Red Hood and the Outlaws is a good book since it just
and I will consider that
sold out.
A lot of people picked it up because of the cover, but I think people will stay because the quality is amazing. That book hasn't disappointed me one time out of 12 issues, which for DC, that's freaking amazing.
Okay. So I'm back, yes.
But,
it's just my wife telling me she needed a root canal.
But yeah, we were talking comics. You asked me about Marvel. I said the Spider-Man. Did you read Amazing Spider-Man, Charlie?
No, not yet. I've been so far behind on my comics, man.
Too. Oh, that's my big thing. I mean, Marvel, your codes. It sucks trying to get them in on a Wednesday. Usually, I gotta wait till Thursday to get them in, and then.
Well, you know what?
Codes didn't go until yesterday. I had to email them, and then they're like, "Oh, well, the issue's been resolved." DC, I log right in. My codes go right in. Marvel.
But also remember, Marvel is doing all their books, whereas DC is only doing select books.
Yeah, but Marvel's been in this digital game how long?
I know. Well, because I think they were planning on scaling it back, and then once they took it away, that piqued all the interest again. So everyone that like had for years had their books and never entered their code suddenly realized, oh, I got to get my code in because it might take them away again.
Everyone's doing it Wednesday. That seems to be the big day that code didn't go in is Wednesday.
Honestly, for me, Phil, the biggest problem is that since we don't review the books anymore, I'm no longer pressed to read the books. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, oh, I'll read it on the weekend. I'll read it this week. I'll read it later, and then later comes. It's like, oh, I forgot to read that book, and not for nothing. That's what gets books dropped. Is that because like I said, that's why I dropped Super Sons and Teen Titans, because I was like, you know what? Do I really want to? Am I going to go out of my way for that story? Is the story in anything I'm particularly interested in? Not really.
So do you want me to text you every week and say, read your comics?
Titans number 13 must be lucky, because I read that because somebody told me that it was good, and it is actually better than it has been. So kudos to
Titans. That's not one of the ones I've been reading. So maybe I'll pick up Titans. I was reading Teen Titans.
Oh yeah, with Damien.
Because Well, I liked Damien at first because they were really playing with the Teen Titans Go Robin character. But then I don't know. I think they try to make Damien too much like Batman.
Yes.
And I think I think you need to always have Damien realize he is just a kid. I think that one of the things, I think what's interesting with Damien is when he actually has to go, I don't want to have the life that was, as much as he doesn't want to have the life that the League of Shadows or whatever they're called put out for him. He doesn't want to have, he shouldn't necessarily be forced to be a Batman either. He should be allowed to find his own path, his own meaning in life. And
which is why his relationship with Dick Grayson is so good when they do it.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think that would be a better. So maybe I'll pick up Titans next. Who knows? We'll see where I go.
You into those classic characters because I like the romance. Actually, I take it back. I like the romance.
But right now I'm also looking at Archie's.
See, yeah, do Archie. Don't do anything else.
Yeah, I mean, the cover for Josie and the Pussycats this week, I said, oh, I like that cover. I want to pick it up. But I didn't even open the book because I knew if I picked it up, I'd probably want to buy it, and then it would have been no problem. But I like, I've always liked Josie and the Pussycats since the cartoon. And that was actually something me and Phil were talking about why I think you're getting a resurgence of Archie. Because I think that one of the things that the Archies have done over the years, even, and yes, because they were these kid humor books, is that they had inexpensive books for kids with the Archies in your grocery store.
Yep. Right there at the checkout.
Right there at the checkout. Your kid could pick up Archie Digest and they could read the Archies and become interested in those characters and their conflicts and their resolutions. And, like I say, the fact that Marvel and DC cost so much, and the new Archies cost that much as well, but they're still also building new fans with their digests at the grocery store.
You guys are old enough to remember this. I was just having this conversation. You remember when every grocery store had a magazine, like big magazine racks? Only Walmart has that now. And that's another kind of you could go look at your Teen Pop or Tiger Beat and your comic books and all that stuff. Yeah. That's just not there anymore.
My grocery store still has that, but yeah.
I know. Back in the day, every grocery store around here, every convenience store, at least if they didn't have a shelf, they at least had a spinner rack or two.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We had a couple magazines.
Now you got to go to now you got to go to Barnes and Noble to get a spinner rack. Although they do sell comic books at Barnes and Noble.
They do.
But they won't pull for you.
Borders was a better store, but
yes.
They had their comic book graphic selection was always on point, which is why I always went to Borders. So I miss Borders.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So does Borders. Borders misses you, Lilith. Okay, so yeah, Anything else to talk this week, kids?
Planet of the Apes movie. I'm really I love the Planet of the Apes franchise, minus the Tim Burton try to be remake. So yeah, I'm really excited. I'm gonna go.
Sounds like a Facebook Live review is coming.
Yeah.
I'll go Sunday.
All I gotta say is, if it doesn't have Roddy McDowell, it's not the Planet of the Apes.
Come on, let's get some more Facebook Live reviews, people. My son can't do all the work.
What? That's the Facebook podcast now. What are you talking about, Phil? I gotta send him T-shirts so he can be stocked up every week.
Nice.
Although I gotta get him off that Spider-Man kick. It's killing me.
Okay.
Folks. You're not interested though in seeing the movie? Nobody, just me. Okay.
Planet of the Apes.
I might. I don't know if I'll be able to see it right away, but I might. I want to see it eventually.
Like I said, it doesn't have Roddy McDowell. What? Well, you think Andy Serkis is as good as Roddy McDowell? No.
I'm telling you this. I was really skeptical with the first one because of James Franco, but I ended up loving the first one. The second one drew me in, and this third one they have the prequel books to it, the comic books that I actually did pick up the first one. Like this world the world building that they did with it, and they really make you believe, and it's so immersive, and it's just such a good story.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I know what I want to. Charlie, I'm surprised you didn't bring this up last night or today. I want to hear your thoughts. They cast Squirrel Girl for New Warriors.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, who is this actress? I don't know her.
Oh, you don't know her? I'm not familiar with her either.
She's some young kid. Which
we're all buddy buddies at this point. We're like, who's that?
I don't know these young people. Is that Linda Carter? No. Was she on Smallville? No. Okay. I know that my nephew Ross, who's 4 years younger than me, really liked her for the role. So he said, "Oh yeah, that's who I thought would be great for the role." So I'm like, okay. So
have a name for us, Philip.
What?
Yeah.
Do you have a name for the actress?
No, but I can look it up.
Yeah, I mean, I am interested in this new Warriors series. It's weird that it is called the New Warriors, since it's not the New Warriors, but they're warriors of some sort, I guess, and relatively new, I imagine. But that's obviously going to be part of our. It's interesting that what I think Marvel is doing now is they're not doing different universes, but they definitely are doing corners. So that I do think the Netflix corner of the universe is the Netflix corner of the universe. The ABC corner of the universe is just Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. right now. And Inhumans and Linda Carter, or not Peggy Carter.
Agent
Carter. And then you're going to have this Handspring network. Mindspring, yeah, I know. Which is going to be your teen universes. Oh, although that was actually one of the things that I noticed in the trailer that aired before Spider-Man for the the Gifted with the Strucker twins, and they showed that they were growing people in bats. I get the feeling the Nazi experimentation angle is going to come back with that. That is my take on that.
But no, the Squirrel Girl actress is Milana Vaintrub.
Where's she from? Did they say?
It says This Is Us. I thought you'd watch that.
Is she the little girl then?
I don't know. It says This Is Us. Her credits are This Is Us and AT&T commercials.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. She's the help desk girl at AT&T for all the ones who sell. The girl who bedazzles. So that's how I think of her, as the girl who bedazzles. And I would imagine that Squirrel Girl would bedazzle. Even though she is a hardcore computer science nerd in her own book. And just went an all-expense paid trip to the Savage Land.
Charlie.
I'm sorry, what?
Those two things aren't mutually exclusive.
Oh, what, being a bedazzle?
Yeah.
No, yeah. No, I'm well aware. Is
that the voice of experience?
Do you bedazzle?
Kid, come on. Let's be real here.
Okay.
Little unicorns bedazzle. Sorry.
Bedazzling is a lost art, I feel, and it's good that it's coming back. It's part of that homemaker movement, bedazzling. Okay, so we have our Squirrel Girl. We have is that the only person they've cast so far, or have they cast the other? I think they've already cast a bunch of the other actors, right?
I thought they cast at least one other person. I forget who, but yeah, that was like the big announcement I saw everywhere the day they announced it was, we have our Squirrel Girl.
Well, because that is the tough character, because that is definitely going to be a real central character in it. That's really good. She's the leader of the team. She's going to be, and I believe she's supposed to be the oldest of the group. So she's like, the de facto. Well, hey, she's been fighting Doom for 25 years now.
Nice stuff. That's the anniversary issue.
Yes. Although, man, I am so getting bugged in Squirrel Girl about the odd continuity with the rest of the Marvel Universe. And I know it's a book that maybe is not supposed to be straight continuity, except that they do reference continuity from time to time, and they do have her, her activities in the main regular Marvel Universe do spill back over into her own book. But, like, for example, Dr. Doom is still Dr. Doom in her universe right now. Or at least there are Latverians that we're meeting this week who still see Doom as the ruler of Latveria, and even though we know that Latveria is kind of in the midst of civil war, so maybe they're just hardcore Doom loyalists who are waiting for the return of Doom, which makes some sense. Maybe they'll touch on that next issue. But it was a little weird that they are all being like, all hail Doom, when we know that Doom is now the infamous Iron Man.
Maybe it's a Doom bot. Or Kristoff.
Yeah. And then, of course, in the 25th anniversary, they had the Red Skull as a villain, but not the Red Skull with Xavier's powers, So, I know, don't worry. Okay, we're going to get lunch in a minute, okay? No, you can just sit over there. Okay. My son, Tristan, wants to say hi, and he also wants lunch. So unless you guys have, okay, Tristan, okay, I love you. Yeah, he just likes seeing himself in the little corner there. Okay, yes, I love you, buddy. Okay, so on that note, Phil, if people would like to reach out to you about what we do here on the Capes and Lunatics, how can they find you?
You can always email me, nightwingpdp@gmail.com. On Twitter, I am @nightwingpdp. And check out Capes and Lunatics on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and hit up the voicemail, 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. That's for all our shows.
Yes. And Lilith, how can they find you?
For live tweeting purposes, the summer live tweets anyway, @Lilith Hellfire. For everything else, @Adventures in FG. That's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest. And please be sure to check out Adventures in Fangirling, but not today because it's under construction.
Okay. And of course, if you'd like to write to me or Tristan, you can do so in the old-fashioned email way at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, @gmail.com. And of course, follow me and Tristan on Twitter as we live tweet shows. What do you want to live tweet?
Lunch.
Okay. Yes, we're going to live tweet lunch maybe Charlie Esser. That's
live tweet lunch.
Okay, @CharlieEesser.
Wait, why don't we live tweet another Venom verse?
Well, usually it's a thing you're doing while we'll discuss it later. We'll discuss what we're going to live tweet later, okay?
Tell me to write up a blog. We'll put it up.
Yes, you can write up your blog about Venom. Look for the 2 E's in the middle for quality. 2 of them. And there's one of my E's right now. Okay. So that's it. Do we have an outro? There we go.
Asking shall receive.
Tristan, dance.
Well, Thank God, at least someone in the house has rhythm. Everyone wish Lilith well on her trip to Comic-Con next weekend. Maybe we'll get some on-the-scene reports.
I'm sending a voicemail, that's it.
Okay. Lilith, don't ruin the magic. play the voicemail when it's behind the scenes. Hasselhoff is coming.